OMG, you will not believe what just went down on Basketball Wives LA Season 12. In one of the most explosive moments in reality TV history, Evelyn Lozada and Brittany Renner absolutely obliterated each other in a jaw-dropping verbal war that fans are already calling the most brutal showdown of the season. It started as a calm sit-down meant to squash their rising tensions, but within seconds, the air turned thick with attitude, side eyes, and savage energy. And then, it erupted. What was supposed to be a peaceful reconciliation spiraled into a savage clash of queens that no one saw coming. From cutting insults about parenting and loyalty to wild accusations that sent shockwaves through the room, Evelyn and Brittany tore each other apart with no mercy and zero filter. Evelyn didn't hold back for a second, calling Brittany out for pretending to be real while secretly playing both sides. But Brittany came locked and loaded, clapping back with a venomous, "Girl, the only thing you've been loyal to is drama. You don't want peace, you want a storyline." It was personal, it was fiery, and every woman at that table was either gasping, clutching pearls, or trying desperately not to get dragged in. Emotions ran high, drinks nearly flew, and the whole BBWLA cast was left completely divided by what happened next. What triggered this full-on war? What secrets were exposed that left the cast and fans alike shook to their core? And who really walked away with the last word? Trust us, you don't want to miss a second of this drama-fueled breakdown between two of the boldest women in reality TV. Grab your popcorn, because what started as tea turned into a wildfire, and the internet hasn't stopped buzzing since. Keep watching as we break down every savage second of the most intense fight BBWLA has ever seen. It all began at what was supposed to be a calm, stylish wine and cheese mixer thrown by Jackie Christie at an upscale rooftop lounge in downtown LA. A perfect night with ambient lighting, soft jazz playing, and an invite-only guest list that screamed exclusivity. But no one could have predicted that under all the glam and gloss, tensions were quietly simmering between Evelyn Lozada and Brittany Renner. For weeks, subtle shade had been thrown between the two on camera, off camera, and especially on social media, where fans noticed that Brittany unfollowed Evelyn just days after the group trip to Cabo. Rumors had started swirling. Had Brittany said something shady behind Evelyn's back? Was Evelyn plotting her infamous revenge and heels move? At first, both women played it cool, but that night, in that tight space filled with designer dresses and fragile egos, everything combusted. Evelyn entered the party radiant, in a shimmering gold bodycon dress that made her the undeniable center of attention. Brittany, on the other hand, rocked a bold crimson jumpsuit, her energy loud and confident. The second their eyes locked, it was like gasoline met fire. Jackie, who always thinks she's the group's peacemaker even though she's usually the one fanning the flames, made the worst decision of the night. She clinked her glass and said, "Ladies, I think it's time we squash some of the tension that's been floating around. Evelyn, Brittany, can y'all just talk it out like grown women?" You could literally feel the room freeze. Malaysia turned her head in slow motion. Brooke put down her drink and whispered, "Oh no, not tonight." But it was already too late. Evelyn gave that tight, practiced smile, the one that doesn't quite reach her eyes, and said, "Sure, I have no problem being direct." Brittany crossed her legs, smirked, and replied, "Good, because fake energy is draining." Boom! That one sentence was the match that lit the whole scene on fire. Evelyn's face didn't change, but her tone did. "Fake energy? Is that what we're calling boundaries now?" she asked, her voice icy. "You mean like pretending to vibe with everyone while secretly auditioning for your next podcast rant?" Brittany didn't flinch. "Girl, stop. You're just mad that I don't kiss the ring like the other girls do. You've been pulling the same tired stunts since season 2. That did it." Evelyn leaned forward, elbows on the table, lips pursed in fury. "Brittany, don't ever act like you're doing something new. You're not revolutionary. You're recycled drama with a fitness deal." The other girls gasped audibly. The bartender ducked. Brittany shot back, Better to have a brand than to be a bitter ex with a punchline personality. Everything with you is rehearsed like you're trying to win an Emmy for most petty. Evelyn blinked slowly. That's rich coming from someone who only got on the show because she dated a rapper who couldn't remember her name the next day. At this point, the party had become dead silent. The jazz music had faded into background noise. Even the camera crew, seasoned as they were, looked stunned. Brooke tried to interject with the ladies, "Come on," but Evelyn and Brittany were locked in, like two lions circling before the kill. Then Evelyn went there. "You talk about fake energy, but girl, you've been smiling in my face and deeming my ex behind my back. Don't act brand new. You're not slick. You're just messy." Brittany froze for a moment, her lips tightening. The audience watching at home would be leaning all the way forward at this moment. Brittany tilted her head. "You're mad because your ex preferred real conversation over fake lashes and old beef. That's not my fault. Maybe if you had been less focused on catching camera time, he wouldn't have been in my DMs." Evelyn stood up. Instantly, security started moving and production was already whispering frantically into walkie-talkies. "No, we're good." Evelyn barked at them. "I'm not about to touch her, but I am going to say this: every woman at this table knows I don't play fake." Brittany, you are the definition of Instagram relevance. Surface deep, thirsty, and replaceable. Brittany leaned back in her chair, clearly fuming but trying to keep her composure. Coming from someone who's had more comebacks and storylines, that doesn't mean much. Your legacy is drama. Mine is growth. Evelyn scoffed so hard it sounded like a laugh. "Growth? Girl, you've had more reinventions than I've had hairstyles. And they all flop." By now, the other ladies had split into sides without realizing it. Malaysia and Brooke leaned closer to Evelyn, while Duffy and Imani exchanged glances with Brittany, looking increasingly uncomfortable but unwilling to step in. Jackie, realizing her event had turned into the season's most viral moment, tried once again to smooth things over. Okay. Emotions are high," she said, reaching her hands out toward both women. "Let's not say anything we can't take back." Evelyn looked at her and said coldly, "Jackie, with all due respect, stay out of this. You caused this." Brittany nodded. "For once, we agree." Then Evelyn dropped another bomb. "You wanna know why I really don't F with you? It's because I see through you. You talk about sisterhood, but everything you do is calculated. You size people up based on what they can give you. And when they call you out, you play victim." Brittany's jaw clenched, her entire demeanor shifting from playful shade to raw fury. "That's a projection if I've ever heard one. You want me to bow down, but I'm not scared of you. You've bullied half this cast for over a decade. That's not power, that's insecurity wearing heels." The air had become so thick you could slice it with a designer nail. Production tried again to step in, asking the ladies to separate for a cool down, but both refused. Evelyn said, "I'm not done," and Brittany simply whispered, "Let her talk. It's the only time she feels important." That line cut deep. Even Evelyn paused just for a second, but that second was enough for Brittany to seize the narrative. "You're the queen of recycled beef. You bring up the past because the present is empty. You don't know how to evolve unless the cameras are rolling." Evelyn narrowed her eyes. "Keep my name out your mouth and my exes out your DMs. Or next time, it won't be words flying." Brittany stood up now too, eye to eye with Evelyn. Both women squared up as if the air between them would ignite. "Then say it with your chest next time, instead of whispering to producers and throwing shade in confessionals. I'm here now. What's up?" Everyone held their breath. This wasn't just a fight anymore. This was a full-on power struggle between the old guard and the new, between legacy and clout, between Evelyn's battle-hardened dominance and Brittany's fearless, fiery rise. And then, just as things were about to explode further, Malaysia suddenly stood and said, "Enough." Her voice was low, but commanding. "This ain't it. We already lost friendships to drama before. Do we really want to go there again?" Her words hung in the air like fog. Evelyn looked at Malaysia. Brittany turned away, pacing. But the damage was done. The wounds were deep. And this was only the beginning. Because behind the scenes, other cast members had already started picking sides. Texts were being sent. Group chats were heating up. confessionals would be lit. And what no one knew yet was that a shocking revelation, a chain reaction that would ripple through the entire Basketball Wives LA cast like a wrecking ball. The next morning, social media was on fire. Clips of the argument, leaked by someone on the inside, were already viral before production could even clamp down on damage control. Fans took to Twitter and droves. Team Evelyn hashtags went to war with Team Brittany stans. Some called Evelyn a legend defending her throne, while others praised Brittany for standing her ground against dog bullying. But while the internet was busy picking sides, behind the scenes, alliances were forming in silence and betrayal was already in motion. Malaysia, still shaken by what she'd witnessed, tried to play the neutral peacemaker. She called Evelyn. First, look, I get it. She came at you sideways, she said, pacing around her kitchen with her phone pressed tight to her ear. But sis, you looked ready to swing, and I'm not trying to have another Miami-level situation. Evelyn sighed, her voice calmer but still laced with venom. She thinks she's unbreakable, Malaysia. She thinks she can walk into my circle and act like I'm yesterday's news. Malaysia tried to diffuse it. You're not yesterday's anything. But this show is evolving, and if you don't evolve with it. Her voice trailed off. Evelyn knew what she meant. Still, she wasn't ready to back down. I've built this brand with blood, tears, and broken champagne glasses. Brittany's cute for now, but I've lasted. Meanwhile, Brittany was holding court at Duffy's house, still heated but strangely calm. She called me a storyline, she scoffed, but she spent half her career turning breakups into episodes. Please. Duffy nodded. You were fire though. Like, you didn't even flinch. Brittany shook her head. Because I've dealt with worse. You think Evelyn Lozada scares me? I've had NBA agents trying to gaslight me into NDA silence. Evelyn's just loud. What Brittany didn't know was that Evelyn had already scheduled a one-on-one meeting with production. Not to apologize, but to strike. If you'll want ratings, give me green light, she said, sitting across from the executive producer. Her tone steel sharp. I'll expose her. Let's talk about her real intentions for coming on this show. At the same time, something far more explosive was brewing quietly, something no one expected. Imani, who had remained silent during the rooftop war, had been filming her confessional when producers casually asked her, "Did anything surprise you about that night?" She hesitated, then said, "Well, yeah, Brittany told me a week ago that she was just waiting for the perfect moment to drag Evelyn. Like, those were her exact words." The producer blinked. Wait, she planned this? Imani nodded. She said she knew it would happen eventually, and she was gonna make sure it counted. Within minutes, that clip was flagged, time-stamped, and sent straight to Evelyn's camp. Now it was more than beef. It was premeditated. Evelyn was livid. She orchestrated that moment to paint me as the aggressor. She fumed in her dressing room. She baited me, knowing I wouldn't back down. That's not strength. That's manipulation. Meanwhile, Brittany was being filmed at her yoga studio, telling her fans, "What you saw was me standing up for myself. I'm not afraid of women who think seniority gives them the right to be nasty. Respect is earned, not demanded." But even as she posed for Instagram in warrior pose, Brittany didn't know that Imani had cracked open a door that would unleash more drama than she ever imagined. Because here's where things took a wild turn. The very next group shoot-in, all-cast dinner at a vineyard, became the unexpected stage for another blow-up. And this time, it wasn't Evelyn who lit the match. It was Imani. As the ladies clinked glasses and pretended to smile for Instagram stories, Imani stood and said, "Look, before we pretend like everything's fine, can I just say something?" The table went quiet. Evelyn narrowed her eyes. Brittany set down her glass. "Go ahead," she said coolly. Imani continued, "Brittany, I love you, but I can't co-sign fake stuff. You told me days ago you were planning to come for Evelyn. Like, you plotted that moment." It wasn't heat of the moment. A collective gasp. Brittany's smile froze. "Are you serious right now?" she asked. Imani nodded. "Dead serious." Evelyn laughed, not a haha laugh, but that chilling, I knew it kind of laugh. "So all that righteous energy you had? All that I'm just defending myself," she said, voice rising. "It was performance art?" Brittany stood up. voice trembling but strong. I said I was ready to confront her if she kept throwing shade. That's not plotting, that's preparation. But it was too late. The damage was done. Jackie muttered, "Wow," under her breath. Brooke leaned toward Malaysia and whispered, "This just got deep." Malaysia just nodded, eyes darting between the two titans, now staring daggers at each other again. Evelyn stood. "I don't deal with snakes. You wanted your moment? Hope it was worth it." She turned to leave, but Brittany stepped forward. No, you don't get to throw tantrums and walk out like the victim, Evelyn. If we're being honest, you've done worse. You've attacked women, verbally, physically, emotionally. But when you're called out, suddenly everyone's fake? Evelyn whirled around. "You don't know half the ass I've been through on this show. You walked in last season thinking you're the messiah of truth. But this is cloud chasing with good lighting." Brittany smirked. "Call it what you want, but I'd rather chase cloud than chase relevancy." At this point, the entire vineyard had gone dead silent. Not even the staff were pouring wine anymore. Then Jackie did what Jackie always does, tried to reset the energy with a toast. "To realness," she said, awkwardly raising her glass, "and learning how to disagree without disrespect." But no one toasted back. The moment was fractured. Evelyn walked off. Brittany sat down, visibly shaken now, her hands trembling slightly. Duffy reached over and squeezed her shoulder. "You good?" she asked softly. Brittany nodded, but her eyes told a different story, because she knew what was coming next. Now that her so-called premeditation was out in the open, the cast was going to start treating her differently. Confessionals would be brutal. Social media would go wild. Evelyn, known for her calculated comebacks, would be plotting something massive. And Brittany? She had no choice but to dig deeper, push back harder, and prepare for what was already being whispered by producers. The reunion is going to be a bloodbath. And as night fell over L.A., two women on opposite sides of a storm prepared for their next moves. Because this wasn't over. This was war. The days following the vineyard dinner were tense. Production had halted all group scenes for 48 hours to let tempers cool, but the damage was done. Both Evelyn and Brittany had gone radio silent on social media, which only fueled more speculation. Fan pages flooded Instagram with screenshots, clips, and theories. Was the beef real or scripted? Did Brittany really plot her attack? Is Evelyn finally losing her grip on Bula dominance? The internet couldn't stop buzzing. But while everyone online was caught up in the drama, what they didn't know was that behind the scenes, both women were preparing their next move with the kind of intensity that only meant one thing. A deeper, uglier chapter was about to begin. Evelyn's camp was the first to strike. TMZ posted a source close to Lozada claiming Brittany had been attempting to secure her own spin-off and created friction for clout. Within hours, gossip blogs picked it up. One even ran with the headline, "Newbie Brittany's fame-hungry playbook exposed by Queen Evelyn." Brittany saw it, of course. She saw everything. Sitting in a rented Hollywood Hills Airbnb with Duffy and a glass of wine, she scrolled through the chaos and said, "She thinks this will scare me off. It won't. If she wants war, she's gonna get it, but with receipts." Duffy leaned in. "What kind of receipts?" Brittany looked up, her eyes deadly calm. "Let's just say she's not the only one who can expose secrets. Evelyn's not as untouchable as she thinks." And she meant it. Brittany had been smart. She'd recorded voice memos, saved screenshots, and collected messages, evidence of Evelyn's backstage manipulation, cast bullying, and even rewrite the story. The producers were intrigued. Conflict like this was ratings gold, but they also knew they had to be careful. Evelyn had been with the franchise for years, and though her methods were controversial, she was powerful. But the real twist came when another cast member unexpectedly entered the battlefield. Brooke. Up until now, Brooke had played neutral cool with both women, sipping the drama from a safe distance. But privately, she had grown tired of Evelyn's dominance. "It's always her show," she told Malaysia in a private lunch scene. "And if you don't play her game, you're out." Malaysia sipped her drink carefully. "You're not wrong. But going against Evelyn publicly? That's risky." Brooke leaned in. "I'm not scared. Someone needs to call it like it is." Brittany just had the guts to do it first. That was the tipping point. Brooke reached out to Brittany, privately, asking to meet without cameras. What started as a casual check-in turned into a 2-hour vent session. Brittany opened up about feeling isolated, accused, and cornered. Brooke admitted she'd been silently fed up for months. "You're not crazy," Brooke said. "She plays nice in public, but behind closed doors, she pulls strings." The two women clinked glasses and agreed on one thing: Evelyn wasn't going to steamroll them both. Not this time. Meanwhile, Evelyn was building her own army. Malaysia was torn, but leaned toward loyalty. Jackie, ever the wild card, had no idea who to back and floated between the camps like a producer with a wig. But the real shocker came from Imani. After igniting the whole Brittany planned it mess, Imani suddenly disappeared from filming for several days. Rumors swirled that she'd been pulled into a legal meeting with production. Why? Because Brittany's team had submitted a formal complaint, stating that Imani's statement was edited deceptively and didn't reflect their full conversation. Apparently, Brittany had also said, "I hope we can talk things out," in that same discussion, but that part never made it to air. When that leak hit the blogs, things got messy. Fans accused producers of pushing an anti-Brittany narrative. Hashtags like #JusticeForBrittany started trending. Even a few celebrities weighed in. Tamar Braxton tweeted, "The way y'all tried to play strong black women who won't kiss all gay is tired. Let Brittany speak." It was chaos. Evelyn was furious. Now she's playing the victim and the hero? She ranted to Jackie on a FaceTime scene. "Girl, she's not even built for this. Let her keep playing games. She won't survive reunion night." But Evelyn had her own ticking time bomb. One of her exes, yes, that ex was about to be dragged into the drama because Brittany had receipts, and not just casual screenshots, actual audio messages. One of them, allegedly from Evelyn's ex, said, "You think she's this queen? She's a nightmare off camera, controlling, petty, always trying to play victim." Brittany hadn't released it yet, but she hinted on Instagram Live, "When people lie on your name, sometimes you have to remind them the truth has receipts. I'm just saying, stay tuned." The chat blew up. Fans begged her to drop the audio. Others warned her not to stoop that low. But Brittany wasn't bluffing. She was playing a long game. She knew Evelyn's strength was her legacy. But legacy couldn't save you from facts. Then came the next cast event. A glam brunch hosted by Brooke, where the invite list said it all. Evelyn wasn't included. Jackie tried to defend it, saying, "Girl, it's just a small thing. Don't take it personal." But Evelyn did take it personal. And instead of sulking in silence, she did what only Evelyn Lozada would do. She showed up anyway, uninvited, cameras rolling, hair laid, outfit on point, and energy scorching. As soon as she walked in, silence fell. The girls were mid-toast when she appeared at the top of the stairs like a scene from a Shonda Rhimes series. Brittany's eyes narrowed. "Wow," she muttered. "So now we crashing events?" Evelyn didn't flinch. Didn't know grown women needed permission to show up. Brooke stood up slowly. "Evelyn, this isn't the time." But Evelyn waved her hand. "It's exactly the time. You wanna have little brunches where you drag my name and play victim? Cool. Say it to my face." Brittany stood now too. "I've been saying it to your face. You just weren't listening." Evelyn stepped closer. "You think one viral moment makes you relevant? Girl, I am this show." Brittany didn't blink. "Not anymore. Times change. Queens get dethroned." Everyone froze. It was the showdown they never expected again. Evelyn and Brittany, face to face, surrounded by women holding their breath. And this time, it wasn't screaming. It was quiet, cold, dangerous. And then, without warning, Evelyn smiled. "Cool," she said. "See you at the reunion. Hope you pack your courage with your receipts." And just like that, she turned and walked out, heels clicking like gunshots. Brittany sat down slowly, heart racing, because she knew Evelyn wasn't just talking. She was promising war. And the next round wouldn't be words. It would be a reputation-shattering avalanche. And there were still 2 weeks until the reunion. 2 weeks for everything to unravel or explode. The final weeks leading up to the reunion were a psychological chess match between two fierce women who refused to be outmaneuvered. Evelyn had gone quiet, not weak, not withdrawn, but quiet, which in her world meant strategy. She wasn't clapping back online. She wasn't throwing subliminals on Instagram stories. She was waiting, calculating, gathering ammunition that would not just shake the table but flip it over, set it on fire, and walk away in Louboutin heels like nothing happened. Meanwhile, Brittany was doing the opposite, leaning into the public. She started going live more frequently, talking about boundaries, truth, and rising above old toxicity. Fans praised her poise, but those closest to her could tell she was bracing for something. And it came loud, savage, and with no warning. A blind item hid the shade room that had Evelyn written all over it. Which BBWLA newbie is pretending to be a role model online while secretly sending steamy voice notes to a castmate's man? Brittany knew what this was. She called Duffy immediately. She's trying to paint me as a homewrecker now? Duffy, who had grown weary of the crossfire, just sighed. B, she's not gonna stop. You gotta either end it or outsmart her. And Brittany had a plan, one last shot to take control of the narrative before reunion night. She sat down for a confessional and looked directly into the camera. Everyone wants to talk about who's real and who's fake. But let's be clear, being loud doesn't make you a leader. Bullying isn't strength. And calling yourself a queen while tearing down every woman who shines is the most insecure move of all. The production team didn't expect that. They didn't expect her to stop responding to Evelyn and start exposing the pattern. But Evelyn saw it too. And it didn't faze her because she had her own checkmate waiting. The day of the reunion finally arrived, and the tension in the backstage area was so thick it felt like a thunderstorm in slow motion. The glam teams buzzed around nervously. Security was doubled. Producers whispered, "Please let this go smooth," knowing full well it absolutely wouldn't. Evelyn arrived first, draped in black, fierce and silent, her hair cascading like a lioness ready to pounce. Brittany came second, angelic white pantsuit,